Welcome back to another conversation with Texas Movement Media. Today, I think I'd like to go over the popular topic of love languages. And a lot of times we um, hear these phrases when it's time for our bitch of a wife or girlfriend is indicating that we're not doing something up to her standard of performance. Um, I'm sorry, bitch or cunt, depending on which culture is more that resonates better with you. So, because I am professionally single, and I've kind of uh, avoided these issues for the most part, I dabbled. I kind of dipped my toe into the pond, and although girls in my life will tell you that what I'm saying is true, um, I gained just enough experience to say that I have experience. It's the same way you get an internship or the same way you go through college just to make your parents happy. My whole life has been just waiting until I got to this point so that I could be free of idiots telling me what to do. And becoming as close to a sovereign citizen as one can be in this country. I recognize we sign our life away the minute we have a birth certificate and social security number and fill out a 1080 form and so on and so forth. But, I'm not going to go all enemy of the state and, try to figure out the best tinfoil hat to wear. That would mean that I don't have greater trust in the Lord for my provisions. And I do. So let's just give to Caesar what is Caesar and give to God what is God's. There are five, according to, I believe Rick Warren is his name, and we don't need to go into his ethnic history, but there are five major love languages that are spoken of in that book. Acts of service, physical touch, gifts, quality time, and words of affirmation. So rather than being upset about how women abuse these terms, what I'd like to do is just provide you with different perspectives on how those terms may be used in conversation. One of the things I've noticed with women, and then you can extrapolate this to whatever metaphor you like, and I hope you do, because there's a lot of other applications for this. Um, that one of the things that we don't use the proper terms. Do they have some type of scrambling device? I had a good thought just now. Okay. Well, the good news is I wrote some of this down. What matters to women a lot of times doesn't matter to us. For example, I took this test with a young lady once, and her number one love language was quality time. And I'm like, fine, quality time. But for some reason, she thought that just meant time. Just time in the presence. And why would that time be quality? Because I'm of a certain quality. I'm of a certain quality that gives her validation. If we go out in public and spend 3 hours together, that validates her because now 1/8 of her day has been connected to my greatness. Okay? So, of course, for her, quality time is going to be the number one way uh, of expressing my love because I'm literally giving the best part of myself to you. If I give you a gift or if I express physical touch or give you words of affirmation, you receive the benefit of that only in that immediate moment. And it's not public unless you're able to post it on Instagram. And I'm not going to let you post me on Instagram. Okay? So what you really want is the cloud from being in close proximity to me. And now that I have Hero, if you're going to use quality time to your advantage, I'm going to use quality time to my advantage. Now that we have Hero and Texas Movement Media. Okay? So that is one way that you can, take these love languages and use them to your advantage. Okay? So many of you rappers and NBA players will meet a woman and they will say that their love language is gifts and acts of service. Oh, now, let's wait on acts of service. Let's say gifts. And a long time ago, I did a little bit of a short comedy skit on the gifts that women often like to receive, whether that's purses or shoes or vacations or all those types of things. Basically, what they're trying to do is use the leverage of your career and your work that you put in all these years for, and they wait there at the finish line and try to extract that from you. In the same way that attorneys will send you letters once they see that you've been in some kind of a legal matter, or ambulance chasers will go and do the things that they do, which is why it's important to find an attorney that really cares about you as an individual. Like I said, Michael Campbell, Andrew Wilkerson are great places to start if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. There's an app that they have that I think you should take a look at that does immediate recording at a police stop if you just open the app, so that you don't have to worry about making sure that everything is documented properly. It does it for you. So give those two a follow. That's one thing you can do. And let's put a pin in that, because that's what you call a act of service that's proactive, and it doesn't need anything in return. So I've never used the services of Andrew Wilkerson or Michael Campbell. We know each other through a mutual friend, and the idea of an act of service is that there's nothing expected in return. We should be doing that for people that we respect, and don't just do it just because they share the same skin tone. As the saying goes, all skin folk is not kinfolk, right? So an act of service should be done altruistically, and that's very difficult for an American mind to understand. But the black community that was raised in the South and generally more conservative values still has a fragment of that, which is why the most peace I had in my life was when I was in that southern climate. Okay, gifts. Let's go back to gifts. A woman will go to the Dominican Republic and get plastic surgery and come back, and then put the Sephora and the Fenty and the pounds of transgender makeup on to make it appear as though she is your ideal type of sculpted woman. In the same way that the young lady wanted quality time from me because of her own insecurities, and she wanted to take advantage of my confidence and my appearance to kind of offset her own personal insecurities. The same way these young ladies use makeup and plastic surgery to make up for their own awkwardness and their piss poor diet of reality television. And then you're supposed to pay for all that. So if you ask any NBA players, one of their largest regrets and expenses is child support. Okay? We should all take from the Anthony Edwards school of thought. Try to pay that off in a lump sum. Now the roach is crawling back and trying to get some more, and she looks silly. So let's optimize our mistakes. We all make mistakes. You've seen every single one of mine, thanks to TMZ and Shade Room and all the mainstream media outlets that think that they can use the culture against Texas movement without putting in the work and actually showing that they care about the culture, conversating rather than conversing, as it were. So when we talk about gifts should be practical, and they should be of interest, of special interest to the individual that is receiving the gift, the recipient. So, for example, if I'm we were out at a restaurant during the Christmas holiday one time in college, and a young lady gave me a spike bag because she knew that I ran track, and she gave me actually a couple of little things that made sense for my interests, and I was very appreciative of those gifts, and it actually made me appreciate the group a lot more, and her specifically, because she was willing to take that extra step of care when thinking about what I might need. and what I might not have been receiving from my own family at that time. And so many of the things that I've received from the black community, even though they weren't perceived as gifts, they were received as gifts because they filled great voids in me that my community was refusing to fill for whatever reason. So when I think about gifts for other people, I try to think about, okay, what might this person be struggling with, or where might there be a gap in this person's arsenal, and what skills do I have, even if they're not based on my financial liquidity? Do I have anything that I can do with my effort? Do I have anything I can do with my speaking ability? Do I have anything I can do with my literacy? Do I have anything I can do with my family background, with my cultural background and awareness, with my ability to learn, with my ability to stay poised under duress? Can I do anything for these people that way? That would be what I would consider as a gift, and I encourage you to look at your gift giving that way. We weren't huge on birthdays or Christmas gifts in my home. Uh, you know, the we just that wasn't a tradition that we did. Uh, I made it a point not to. One of my oldest cousins died on my birthday many years ago, so I never made it a point to really um, acknowledge my birthday without also acknowledging that we're always remembering our oldest cousin who left many children, and now that my mother is gone to meet her as well, it's a little bit more comfortable for me to embrace my birthday again. So. Uh, I hope, by this upcoming birthday, the Lord gives me the ability to celebrate with the people that have been loyal to me and to Texas Movement. And that's always my goal. Eventually, Texas Movement Social, I would like to have um, many events planned for the uplifting of whatever community will allow me to be a part of it. Quality time. Quality time. Uh, the emphasis is not on time. The emphasis is on quality. So when I have gotten close to women in the past, it is because they have, by whatever method, they have given me a certain peace of mind that I could not obtain either by myself or with my other potentially male friend groups or professional networking groups or church groups. There's something unique and special they were giving me internally, not that way, but internally that calmed my spirit a little bit, and that is what resonated the most with me. But unfortunately, that is a very very rare occurrence these days because um, our women are raised to be quite materialistic these days. And if you're not leading with financial liquidity, then a lot of times you will be overlooked. So I want you to know, and I kind of dressed up to prove this point, that regardless of your hair texture, regardless of your eye color, regardless of your facial features or advantages or your physicality advantages, uh, women don't gauge us the way we gauge ourselves. Okay, the things that matter to us. I made a video called "The Audacity Factor" a long time ago, and it's very clear on making distinct. It's a little inaccurate, but the distinctions between female preferences and male preferences when it comes to intersexual dynamics. I would probably defer to Rollo Tomasi with regards to that science. I think he's more of the godfather on that type of thing. And to minority culture, there are moments where you can take from Caucasian sources. It will require a little bit of cultural translation. As I've mentioned to you before, I am a admirer of Tom Myers, who is the author of Anatomy Trains. I've brought him up several times. Not because I exclusively believe in the uh, fascial lines as the primary dictator of performance, but I do recognize their place in the entire system. Okay, all these systems work together. If you've ever been to the Dallas-Fort Worth area and go up near Richardson, 635 and 75 intersect in kind of a stacked highway system. And all those highways travel in different directions, and that 635-75 junction is where most of them intersect. And you can go in one direction towards downtown or uptown, and you can go in another direction towards Richardson and Plano and so on and so forth. That's kind of how the systems in the body work, and that's kind of how love languages work. So this is a high five as well. So when we ask for quality time, usually, Patrice O'Neill, I believe, said, we want to be alone, but we don't want to be by ourselves. Frankly, I'm fine with both because, as long as I have my needs met and I can feel that, in the day with the resources that I have, I'm serving my community and I'm serving those around me with my gifts and making use of my abilities for a larger goal, and Texas Movement is being productive that way, I'm very comfortable with that life in isolation. That's not a problem for me. But if somebody wants to be a part of my life, they need to realize that that is my purpose. And so if you're coming into my life with your desires, the best way for you to do that is to accommodate my purpose. So for the plants, the Jewish plants that would like to come and position themselves around me, you need to know that you need to know what the acts of service are. You need to know what the physical touch style is. You need to know what the proper gift selection criteria is. You need to know what I would consider as quality if we were going to spend time together, certainly in public. Do I want to be seen with a 60-year-old woman as a peer, as a romantic peer? Would that make me feel better about myself? No, that would make me feel gross. It would make me feel disgusting. It would make me feel like less of a man. It would make me feel impotent. It would make me feel useless. It would make me feel discarded. It would make me feel like leftover Goodwill trash. So that's something that you should factor in when you request quality time. And then finally, we have things like words of affirmation. Now, words of affirmation I kept for last because a lot of times we use this as our spare tire or our safety net. Since my father is beheaded, I would like to tell you a story. My father and my brother and I very rarely were able to have a cohesive conversation. Because of my appearance and because of the Indian diaspora's colorism from the colonial era, when the British colonized India, they kind of reinforced the Hindu caste system that put light-skinned people at the top and dark-skinned people at the bottom. Now, in southern India, there's a lot more dark-skinned people than there are light-skinned people. But, thanks to, Marco Polo and the Jewish Syrian Christians and all those people that navigated to that southern tip of India, there was a little bit of racial admixture. And so, it's kind of a roll of the dice when you have children. A lot like the Soul Food movie, if you guys have ever seen that Soul Food movie, or the Cosby Show. So there are a lot of metaphors there that I'm not going to delve into, but we have a similar kind of history with regards to pigmentation within the family. And while Black America has its amazing and God-given spiritual culture that I do not want to encroach upon, I want to appropriate it, certainly. Hero is definitely appropriating it. But I also want to always cite my sources, and I hope I've done a good job of doing that, and I think I have. So because of that, there's a lot of sibling rivalry, sibling jealousy, especially between dark-skinned and light-skinned siblings, because a lot of times the light-skinned siblings will get preferential treatment, specifically on the Indian subcontinent and in any Indian demographic. I told you yesterday about the senator's mother who was very dark-skinned and who wanted me to feel bad about my genetic predisposition and lack of melanin, even though her skin is extremely beautiful even to this day. But she will never see it that way because she was not raised to see it that way. Okay? So if you notice how I've treated children, whether they're light-skinned or dark-skinned, whether they're male or female, I do not make any distinctions between melanin concentration because all shades of our children have immense value and immense beauty. And it's important for us to always recognize and reinforce that. So you will never hear any kind of colorism statement coming from me unless I'm in an exclusively hilarious environment where that kind of love is already understood. So it's not going to be discussed um, outside of in-house conversations. The reason I brought that up is because when you have that kind of sibling rivalry, there will be all kinds of sabotage that happen. And when that sabotage is called out, here's an example. When my mother passed, there was a certain property that she was bequeathed. And in her succession plan, as in everything, my father, my brother, and myself were named as successors. Now, in order for that transaction to, complete and for that land to be passed, and the profits from that land to be passed, someone had to go over there and sign successor documents and sign, documents that had to do with the bill of sale and things like that. So, because my father wanted to take a trip over to India and then reconnect with some people, because that is where he was born, and Rajiv and I have no direct connection to India unless perhaps we married somebody from there or we had some type of business dealing there, which neither of us do. There was no need for us both to travel there. So, trusting our Father because of remember the stick I showed you? That stick was applied any time that I even remotely disrespected anybody in the office of spiritual authority. Okay? So, I'm very familiar with it and when and how it was used. And so, whether it was a teacher, it was never an Indian pastor, it was always a white pastor. And if there was a white pastor that said that I disrespected him, there was a heavy application of that stick. Okay? And remember the priorities of these white pastors. So you can only imagine how seriously my father takes integrity of every kind. So when he goes over there and he spends a good 2.5 months there, and before he can go over there and sign on our behalf, my brother and I have to go to a notary. And you guys have all seen Pain and Gain. You know what a notary is. It is someone who witnesses three people signing a document to say, in fact, that no fraud was committed in any forging of any documents. It was done willingly without any duress or anything like that. Because, integrity in contractual agreements is very, very important. So we completed that task at this lovely Kane County Teachers Credit Union Bank here in Elgin. And because banks are so well surveilled, there should be some evidence of that as well. And so that transaction was taken care of there. And then my father, acting as our representative, went to India and handled that transaction. And that was more than a year and a half ago. And so, and this is the document we signed is him acting as our power of attorney. And so that's a very significant kind of statement. Ooh, getting a little ranty. Brevity is crucial, children. Whenever you're telling a story, you don't want people to be bored, so you want to tighten it up and make it quick. So on the way back, as he is coming back to the airport, he takes a picture and sends it to me. And for the first time, he is wearing Hero, uh, one of the t-shirts that I created. Now remember that this is an Indian gentleman that wants to be as far removed from black athletics as possible. But black athleticism is what taught me about Texas movement performance, which is the baseline for why Hero has any credibility at all. So that's an example of an Indian word of affirmation. And to this day, I have no update on what happened to my portion of what I signed over as power of attorney. But I did get that word of affirmation that Hero is worthy of being worn as a t-shirt at the airport. Okay? So children, that's what we call a metaphor. And those of you that created the 6-7 trend, why don't you create a similar metaphor for that story? Words of affirmation in a better way, coming from a woman, rather than saying I love you or I care about you or you're the best thing since sliced bread or you're Jeff Bezos, you can build anything you want. I would have liked to see some better acting in that miniseries. I'm interested in the story, but I can't get past the shitty acting, Jeff. Words of affirmation, I have 3 examples here that you can ask your wife for if she insists on words of affirmation instead of acts of service, proactive and silent acts of service, or practical and interesting gifts, or physical touch in your style of receiving it, cheerfully. I was wrong about blank. Okay? So a woman can start a sentence by saying, I was wrong about this. And she can finish the sentence as she pleases. And then you can decide if that's an affirming word or a non-affirming word. I am sorry about blank. She can have a clear apology because apology, genuineness is very, very important to women. So I think since they want us to be more emotionally intelligent, that we should also be very receptive and we should be very clear about our expectations in an apology from them as well. And that would be the emotionally intelligent response to that. And then finally, I will change. And this can be about speaking tone, a behavior pattern, something in the areas of homemaking, or something in the area of showing respect while you guys are out and about, something in the area about not texting exes, not following or liking pictures of celebrities deliberately to make you insecure. There are so many ways that you can take these situations and make them work for you. So that is a brief overview on how I look at love languages based on the book by Rick Warren. So I hope you take these thoughts and maybe introduce them at your next date night. Perhaps it gives you some time to speak about it, or when you're pillow talking, or whenever you guys like to have little conversations. Speaking of tonight's conversations, you can talk about these love languages. Kitty Rose, you're a pretty emotionally intelligent type of person. And Trip Fontaine, I am so sorry that I did not get your name. I was confused with Richie Fontaine, who I've actually met, and Keita Rose, who I've actually met. And then surprisingly, Ace Metaphor, the initials AM confused me, you know. But I wish you the best with your card game. And Kitty Rose and Trip Metaphor, I hope you're doing very, very well. And I hope everybody continues to emulate the best practices and qualities that they seek to create in themselves. Have a wonderful day.